Asha was brought up in a sheltered home, with Asha and her brother O'Brien being raised in a situation where with limited exposure to outside influences besides school and church. Asha had very little interaction with people besides family. Her parents, Harold and Aquila, both worked and they wouldn't be home in time to take care of the children. The children either stayed with their aunt and grandmother just down the street from their home, or looked after each other the weekend before Valentine's Day. Asha had a full weekend. There was no school on Friday, and so her brother and her stayed with their aunt Alicia, who took them to practice for their basketball teams. That evening, on Saturday, both Asha and O'Brien played for their respective teams. Asha lost hers, unfortunately, and she reportedly took it very hard. It was her team's first loss that season, and everyone referred to Asha as the star player. Asha seemed to rebound quickly, and by the end of the night, she was back to her normal self. The next day, the family went to church together, and everything seemed normal. That afternoon, Asha's father had to work second shift at his part-time job, and he would be gone until midnight. Aquila's normal routine for the kids was interrupted when a car accident in the area had knocked out the power. She was unable to bathe them that night and put them to bed around 8 p.m. Sometime between 8 p.m. and 4 p.m., Asha would vanish. It was a cold, stormy night. It was around 34 degrees with heavy rain. But by the time Harold arrived home, the family was sleeping soundly. He checked on Asha and her brother and found them sleeping peacefully. Harold went to bed around 2:30 a.m., but before he did, he checked on the children once more, and all seemed well. O'Brien heard his sister moving around in the bed sometime after this, but assumed she was just turning over, and he fell back asleep. At 6:30 a.m., Monday, February 14th, 2000, Aquila came to wake up the children for school and their baths. When she discovered Asha was not there, she searched the house and began to panic. She woke Harold and O'Brien to help her find them. They called her aunt and grandmother, and they had not seen her, so they called the police, who arrived with canine units. The dogs could not pick up on Asha's scent, most likely because of the storm. So a foot search was produced, and the first day proved fruitless. The media became involved, spreading Asha's picture everywhere, and this brought forth a couple of witnesses who had a very odd story to tell. That morning, around 3:15 to 4:15 a.m., several drivers along rural Highway 18 saw a child fitting Asha's description walking south along the highway. She was not wearing a winter coat, but did not appear to be in distress. When no one arrived to help Asha, or when one driver had pulled over to help Asha, she fled into the woods. This would be the last confirmed sighting of Asha Degree. Over the weeks, months, and years, several clues come to the surface and many theories. Not only did police find out Asha left of her own accord, but she had planned this at least a day or two prior. Why did Asha, a little girl afraid of storms and the dark, leave so early in the morning? And where was she going? A year and a half later, Asha's backpack is discovered in an unsettling condition. While police believe Asha left on her own, others believe she was taken or tricked into leaving her house that night. Police believe foul play is involved, but nothing comes of this. Was Asha tricked into leaving that night? Or did she simply run away and run into foul play later? Did a known sex offender or pedophile play a part in Asha's disappearance? Could she be the victim of a hit and run? Thank you guys so much for joining me today. Thank you guys so much for joining me today. It is E-Whispers. I'm your host, E. And researched this case a while. There's a lot of information. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe to the channel. Keep those suggestions coming down below. Do remember I have a Patreon for $3 extra a month. You're guaranteed 4 to 7 extra videos over there a month. Again, thank you all so much for joining me. Let's get into today's case. Asha Degree was born August 5th, 1990 to her parents Harold and Aquila. They were married, and 2 years later, they were married 2 years earlier on Valentine's Day, 1988. Asha had a brother O'Brien, and the two were raised in an apartment in Shelby, North Carolina. According to all accounts, Asha had a very good childhood. She had a sheltered upbringing with limited exposure to the outside world, mostly just the people inside. Church, school, family, all of that. The children were not allowed to watch television a whole lot. Aquila had said in an interview that every time you turned on the TV, there was some kind of pedophile who had taken someone's kids, and I guess she just didn't want her children exposed to that. By February of 2000, Asha was 9 years old and a student in the 4th grade at Boston Elementary School. Now, she was described as a timid girl who was shy, but may have been intimidated by certain situations. Boston Elementary School was closed Friday, February 11th. Due to her parents' work schedule, both Asha and her brother had keys to the house so they could let themselves in after school, and their parents trusted them to look after one another until one of them could arrive home from work. On Friday, February 11th, their Aunt Alicia took them both to practice for their youth basketball games. Now remember, Alicia lived just down the street from them, so she helped take care of them sometimes. Now, that night, Asha fouled out of her basketball game, and it was the team's first loss. Now, while Asha reportedly took this hard, she was back to her normal self by the end of the night. It was said that she had hurt her leg during the game, but her mom had assured her she would be okay. They kind of watched O'Brien's game, and she seemed to be normal by the end of the night. The next day, on Sunday, February 13th, I want to make sure I said that clearly, the two children went to their Aunt Alicia's house, where they then attended church at Macedonia Missionary Baptist Church. Everything went as normal. They went to church, they ate lunch at their Aunt Alicia's. Valentine's Day was the next day. Their grandmother had given them candy. Everything was normal. Asha was said to be in good spirits, and she was happy to receive the candy from her grandmother. Later that day, her father, Harold, had to work a second shift at his part-time job. Now, he worked up until midnight, and Asha and her brother returned home with their mother. Asha later laid on the sofa for a while, and the children went to bed around 8 p.m. Now, Asha shared a room with her brother, O'Brien, and Asha's father, Harold, had arrived home around 12:30 a.m. Now, this is now Monday, February 14th, Valentine's Day, and this is the day that Asha vanishes. It's also Harold and Aquila's anniversary. So Harold says when he got home, he checked on the children, and they were in squeak, but he's just kind of thinking, okay, she is just rolling over in bed. So, it is storming that night. He kind of just falls back to sleep, doesn't think anything about it. And then the next morning rolls around. It's about 6:30 a.m. or 6 a.m. And Aquila goes to wake up the children. Aisha's nowhere in her bed. She isn't initially panicked. She's looking around for her when she can't find her. She goes to wake up her husband and son to help her look. Harold calls Alicia, their aunt, and Joanne, their grandmother, who again lived down the street, but neither have seen Aisha. And Aquila runs outside because she hears like a car, I guess, passing by, and she just runs outside thinking, could Aisha be in it? She's just freaking out at this point. She checks both of their vehicles. Aisha was not in either. And Aquila kind of calls her mom. She's panicked. Her mom tells her, hang up, call 911. So she calls police, and at 6:40 a.m., police are on the scene, and they arrive with search dogs who could not pick up on Aisha's scent, most likely because of the storm. So the police are investigating. Harold and O'Brien are, walking around while they're investigating. They're like knocking on doors, asking, has anybody seen Aisha? By 7 a.m., many of the neighbors have woken up and they're out helping in the search. Police find no signs of forced entry at the home, and all doors were still locked. The family spent all day searching and eventually began to spread out, circling farther out. The first day, unfortunately, did not bring any evidence. There's no new info and no sightings of Aisha. A glove or a little mitten is found, but it was determined not to be Aisha's. Her mom said it wasn't hers. We're not dealing with a family that has a whole lot of money. They, or a lot of clothes in the house. They knew what Aisha had. Her mom knew it wasn't hers. So, there's no winter clothes missing from the house, and police discover that Aisha's backpack is missing, along with several items of clothing. Since nobody has entered the home, police come to the conclusion that Aisha had left of her own accord and had locked the door behind her. Because of the way Aisha left and had clothes packed, she had planned this and chose to go at this time for reasons that are still questioned today. Aisha's parents find this hard to believe, and they can think of no reason for her to leave. Due to Aisha's sheltered upbringing, it doesn't seem like she would, just leave on her own. So she typically would not, go out on her own, and it was also said that Aisha was afraid of dogs. By the end of the first day missing, Aisha has been splattered all over the TV, so have her parents, and Aquila says on TV, she's my baby. If somebody has her, if somebody took her, please bring her back. Several witnesses come forward saying they may have seen Aisha the night that she vanished, in the early morning hours of February 14th. Two witnesses come to police and say they seen a little girl fitting Aisha's description walking along Highway 18. And one stopped to help her was also taken by Asha's school bus, so it's very likely that Asha knew it quite well, as she rode the school bus, I believe, every day. I also want to quickly say that I don't understand why this person did not call police when he seen a little girl run off into the woods. It's one thing that she ran off into the woods and you couldn't find her, but you should have called police. What's up with that? I don't know, but my aunt and my dad had actually watched this episode with me, and they were like, why didn't that person call the police? I don't know. These roads were not well lit. They didn't have a lot of light. It was very dark, and obviously Asha didn't have a cell phone or anything to light the path. And it was raining. It was bad weather. I mean, she could have easily gotten lost. I mean, I don't know. So, the two witnesses, one who was a truck driver, says he's seen Asha walking along the highway between 3:30 and 4:15 a.m. People theorize she was heading into town because Highway 18 runs through Shelby. According to the witnesses, Asha was wearing a backpack and a long-sleeve white t-shirt. Police confirmed this because this is what Asha was known to be wearing, and remember, she had taken her backpack, so this is a confirmed sighting of Asha. Cleveland County Sheriff Dan Crawford tells the media that they were pretty sure it was her due to what they know she was wearing. Asha was definitely not dressed for the winter storm. The only items missing from the home were sneakers, a pair of pants, a pocketbook with Tweety Bird on it, and Asha's backpack. So, these are the only items that Asha took. Now, one driver tells police that upon spotting the girl, they went slightly past her and did a U-turn to see if anything was wrong or if she needed help. The rain and wind were so bad that the driver had to turn around 2 times before he could spot her again. I'm just going to move this. Sorry guys, that was getting in my way. Now, this was not a super, thick part of the woods. It was more like a tree line. And this sighting was about 1.3 miles from Asha's home, near the junction of Highway 18 and Highway 180. Now, this is the last confirmed sighting of Asha to Green, and for 2 long days of searching, there's no sign of Asha. Finally, on February 17th, the 3rd day of the search, police pick up on Asha's trail along Highway 18, just 100 yards west of her home, or 100 yards west off the road where she was spotted by the passing drivers. Now, there is this upholstery shed, or there's a shed that is owned by Turner's Upholstery, and so police actually go to search this shed. Now, this shed is locked down a long dirt road, and when they get down there, they have several items that were discovered by Debbie Turner, the owner. Now, Debbie is the one who had actually called police to come in and search to begin with. Now, Debbie Turner is the owner of the business, and it was reported that these items were found at the front of the shed on Tuesday, February 15th, less than 36 hours since Asha had vanished. Now, initially, she didn't make the connection to the child, and when investigators arrived on Thursday the 17th and asked to search the shed. This is when she redeemed the items and showed them to police. So I'm sorry about that previous part, guys. Actually, she did not call the police. She showed these items to police when they came down there to search. So police began searching for traces of Asha. In addition to the items found in the shed, her basketball team, said that these, were items because these candy wrappers that were found were actually in the goodie bags that were given to them for Valentine's Day. Now, the search dogs were brought in again, but again could not detect Asha's scent, and some people suggest Asha had entered the shed to kind of shelter from the storm. We don't really know, how she got in the shed, or if she entered on her own, or if somebody took her in there. We don't really know. Now, others speculate she was taken into the shed against her will. Now, about a week after Asha went missing, the foot search was called off. 9,000 man-hours were used during this search. The sheriff stated that they really had a good lead. They didn't really have a good lead, and it was very frustrating to spend that much time and basically come up with nothing at this point. Investigators are baffled and they don't know what to think. Now, there was this spokesperson for missing and exploited children who spoke out and said, and I agree with this because I work with children, and I actually have a daughter who's almost 9, but she spoke out and said that most kids do not run away until they're at least 12, that Asha's case was very unique and bizarre, and I agree with this. Like, my almost 9-year-old wouldn't even know how to run away. Like, she's still on Barbie mode. That wouldn't even cross her mind. So I find it very strange that, Asha left like this in the middle of the night in a storm. In March of 2000, with investigators frustrated and leads quickly drying up, they turn to the parents and they give them a polygraph test. Harold passed. I could not find any information on Aquila, but I assume that she did. The sheriff also stated at a press conference that they believe other people have information on this case and for whatever reason are not coming forward. They strongly suspect foul play, and when asked about suspects, he stated that there were some individuals that they were pursuing. The FBI had tried to drop a profile of a suspect, but there was not enough evidence, unfortunately, to do this. There was a lady who was sent in to interview some of Asha's friends to see, if they had any information, if they knew anything. They couldn't find any other information, though. I guess the friends didn't know anything. Over, the next few months, the Degree family are really pleased with the media. They go on the Montel Williams show, they go on Oprah, they go on America's Most Wanted. Despite all this coverage, it doesn't bring anything from Asha. I'm gonna put on some lip scrub while I do this. My lips are super dry, but this might be relaxing while I tell the story, so hopefully it will be. despite all of this coverage, nothing comes in from it. Tips were coming in. Unfortunately, nothing led to Asha. So, on August 3rd, 2001, approximately 26 miles north from the shed along Highway 18, Asha's backpack is discovered. So, okay. Now, this backpack was discovered by 44-year-old Terry Fleming, and he's a Burke County contractor. He was clearing the area, of a lot to make way for the building of a house when this garbage bag catches his eye, and I guess he goes to open it, and inside the trash bag was another trash bag, and inside of that trash bag was Asha's backpack. Police comb the area. There's nothing to be found, but I believe in the area there was a pair of khaki pants and some scattered animal bones, but nothing, no sign of Asha. The police do take the bag in for forensic testing. Now, the FBI have never released the results of the testing, and there has never been a full list given out as to what was in the backpack. Now, on several websites, it says that some websites say that her basketball uniform and pictures of her family were inside, but a full list from the FBI has never been given. Now, police took this to believe that foul play was involved. This is a confirmation. Now, police believe that the abductor or abductors took the bag into the woods, buried it, and that's why it was found. Now, why would the abductor want to preserve the bag? I mean, instead of just getting rid of it, there was plenty of cliffs to throw it off of. You could have burned it. Like, why would you take it in the woods and bury it? That's a little bit confusing to me. The discovery of the bag was the last piece of evidence that was found. Over the next few years, Asha's case went very cold. Now, tips continued to come in, but none of them led them to Asha. Till a tip came in 2004, and we don't know all of the details, but police did take it serious. The tip was reported to have come from a county jail inmate. At the intersection of Shelby and Rooks Spangler Road in Lawndale, South Carolina, police searched for possible human remains. Unfortunately, they only found animal bones. We, were all expecting a better outcome, obviously, from this to find Asha alive, to give the family some kind of closure, but nothing was found, no evidence related to Asha, no sign of her. In February 2015, the FBI announced that a new team of FBI agents would be looking through the case, as well as Cleveland County Sheriff's Office. Witnesses, were re-interviewed. A $25,000 reward for any info leading to the arrest of any individuals involved in or responsible for Asha's disappearance was put up. This $25,000 reward was put up for any information. Funds raised locally offered an additional $20,000, bringing the total to $45,000. Now, outside of the offer of the new reward, no new evidence came from this. Second look into the case. Asha's description, getting into a dark green car near Highway 18, near the site where she was last seen. Now, the car was believed to be a late 70s Thunderbird or a Lincoln Mark IV. Both of these cars are similar in style. However, the Lincoln has a distinctive tire-shaped bump on the trunk. The vehicle has never been located. However, this is 17 years later when the FBI come out and say this. The car could have switched hands. It could have been destroyed. We don't know. But it is 17 years later. I don't understand why this witness who claimed to have seen Asha getting into this car didn't come forward before, because had they initially come forward, this car could have been found and more evidence. I find that to be extremely upsetting. If I was the parents, I would be very upset about that, just saying. So, nothing comes of it. This brings me to the theories. So, there are theories of her running away. There are theories of her sleepwalking, which I don't believe, because how could she have sleepwalked but planned this 2 days prior and locked the door behind her? That kind of rules out the sleepwalking theory. Some people theorize that she was the victim of a hit and run. That's a possibility, but why did she run away in the first place? There are theories that someone abducted her, someone groomed her into leaving that night, and I think that this is the biggest theory in the case. Now, I don't know all of these details, but I do know that I truly believe she was groomed into leaving that night by someone. So I want to bring up one other theory, and this theory is on Donald Preston Ferguson, who was arrested in the murder of another little girl, but they kind of tried to tie these two in together. Now, he was arrested in January of 2014 for sexually assaulting and murdering 7-year-old little Shalonda Poole, who was found deceased behind the Jones Elementary School in Greensboro, North Carolina. In 1990, he was sentenced to 2 life sentences, and he was found through a DNA match after a former suspect was acquitted due to lack of evidence. So, this is extremely sad. He was actually a friend of the family who participated in searches and, was all in the investigation, like searching, helping the family. He was known to be in the area about 38 miles from where Asha vanished from, and his family actually have a sick line of crimes. Both Shalonda and Asha were very similar in age and description. They were both just beautiful, precious little girls. So, it has been 22 years since Asha vanished, and if she was alive today, she would be 31 years old. There are age-progressed photos of what she would look like today. Her parents still live in the same home, and they still have the same phone number. Their home is described as a shrine for Asha. O'Brien, her brother, states that he has his own daughter, and she is just precious. She looks and acts so much like Asha, it is uncanny. They hold on to hope that that someday they will see Asha again. In 2008, they started a scholarship in her name, and they also started a walk from their home to the last place where Asha was seen. They started this walk to help with funds to keep the searches going. There is a billboard along Highway 18 asking for answers. My thoughts on this case is I do believe that someone groomed her. I don't know about the Donald Ferguson theory, because he wouldn't have been able to get Asha to run away that night. The answers lie in why Asha ran away to begin with. She didn't run away one night, I believe, and just meet up with him. And I believe that the answers lie in why she ran away to begin with. I think if you find out that answer, you're probably going to find out a lot more, in regards to her case. Unfortunately, it's something we may never know, but I do pray for this family. I pray for justice. I pray that they can find some kind of answer, some kind of closure. So, please pray for this family. Give them all the prayer you can that they can find some kind of closure. But that is my thoughts. I truly believe that if you find out why she ran away, you're going to find out the answers. But I do want to say that I think it was someone within Asha's very close circle. I don't know if anybody was interviewed as far as pastors, coaches, teachers. I think all of that should have been looked into as well. I don't know. Asha, at the time of her disappearance, was 4'6". She weighed 60 pounds. There's a $45,000 reward in her case for any information. Please, please, please remember that no detail is too small. If you know anything, if you remember anything, please call. Please, please, please give this family some closure. Call the Center for Missing and Exploited Children at 1-800-843-5678. Again, that is 1-800-843-5678. Or Cleveland County Sheriff's Office at 170-448-4822. Again, that is 170-448-4822. Please, please, please remember no detail is too small. This case